All right. Welcome here. Thank you for joining me. Today we're talking about creative journaling and getting unstuck and just handing back some of the rules and restrictions and all the things that keep us sort of resistant to I can't journal or I don't like journaling or I'm just feeling stuck. I used to like journaling and now I'm not doing it. What's happening? So so today's we're going to be about 40 minutes. There'll be some Q&A. If you haven't been on Zoom before, there's a chat box in the bottom. You can put your questions in there as we go, or just wait till the end, and then we'll have a bit of time for that. I'm so grateful for you to show up and share this time, and be grateful to yourself for making the space for a little bit of personal time. And yeah, so we'll have about 40 minutes to have some Q&A. I'm going to start a little bit first, just talking about what is journaling and what's the difference between journaling, diaries, sketchbooks, and the like. And to me, personally, there is no difference. But I'm pretty comfortable with journaling. I've been doing it all my life, since a little girl with the locked journal and key. Used to be very, very classic, as many of us are taught, Dear Diary. I have certainly, raced past that. But now, essentially, it can be anything you want. It's collaging, it's painting, it's the mix of words and images. Most of us are more comfortable either with visual images or visual language or words and lists, and there's no right and wrong here. That's the beautiful thing. And some of us are really happy and most happy when we do a hybrid, when we do both. So that's what we're exploring today. It's just ways to get active. So first off, if you don't have one, go grab at least a piece of paper, or if you have a journal in front of you, better. Something that you can mark up, something that you can have fun with today. We're going to do some action stuff. I'm going to chat for a little bit initially, and then we'll move into some exercises. So you can walk away today with just a little bit more of a start, hopefully, and, ways in which you can carry on and just have more fun with this. It doesn't have to be so serious. Even when we're dealing with really heavy things, heartache, anxiety, it's strange times out there. We don't have to be so frozen with how to get this out. This is the point. Journaling is good for lowering our blood pressure. Journaling and self-expression are good for self-care. It's a part of self-reflection. It's a part of learning, gaining insight into, things that we're holding beneath the surface for ourselves. And also, of course, I don't know, gone blank. But anyway, so I'm going to just try turning this light off because it looks a little bit bright up there. I'm not sure if that helps or not. Any sense of that? Does that change the lighting? Anyone in the chat? Okay, well, if you can see, you can see. If the images are too dark when I hold journaling up, you can let me know. I'll put it back on. So, where to begin with the images? First off, let's put down that judgment around ourselves, like I'm not creative, or I'm not an artist, or you have to be an artist to do journaling, or a writer, or a poet. None of that is true. We carry so much judgment and weight and restriction on ourselves, and it's just not necessary, and it's not fun. So we can let go of these fixed identities. You can be creative and an accountant. It's about finding how your creativity shows up and where it shows up. Maybe you're a fantastic cook. Maybe you are a genius about spreadsheets and a really great instructor about how you translate that for people. That's creative. That's creativity. That's all. We just have to put down these judgments and fixed identities. So let's break the rules. And you can be an artist and a mathematician. Again, we don't have to be in these little boxes that we put ourselves in. So I often hear, I'm not creative. People just have been told that or programmed that. It's not a truth, and there's so many thousands of ways of being creative. Maybe you're hilarious. Maybe you're a great storyteller at parties. Maybe you're, terrific with colors and fashion and design, Anyway, let's move on to journaling. Let's get to some hands-on stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples first of how easy this is and recommendations for different I highly recommend having many different sizes of journal. So here's this little guy, and that's a perfect one for your bag, your purse, your pocket, even your car, wherever you're, well, we're not going many places these days, but this is a terrific one to just always have on hand, and we'll get into why you want to do that later. Another very little one that's just sometimes when we get intimidated or we're going through a low energy period, maybe we're sick, we're dealing with some illness, we're dealing with depression, or we're dealing with an injury. Like when I've had frozen shoulder, I ended up going to very small work because I could not move, but I was going crazy. So I needed to just, I could just do my hand and that's it. And actually nothing for a while. So the smaller, the better sometimes. And then we'll go through. These guys, and just so you know, these are easy things to find at Opus Art Supplies. I love them. They're lightweight, they're great for travel, and they're blank. So you can actually add lines if you're one for writing and you want a little bit of structure, or they're just blank. So you just have like carte blanche. You can go crazy on any direction. So I have a whole pile of these. They also come in black, and they're pretty affordable. They've got some good quality paper if you feel like drawing, and they're a little bit heavier if you want to like wet them with watercolor, or if you want to glue, stuff like that, collage, so that they can tackle the paper. I mean, the paper can handle it. So there's that. So anyway, size, get all kinds of different sizes for yourself and different kinds of paper. And then there's the classic journal, of which we are all familiar. Pardon me, this is a little bit tricky to do on camera. I apologize, I don't have better equipment for this. So there's your classic journal where, nice, clean, white, blank. Oh, look, and it has line. No, it doesn't, it's blank. But I made lines. So, for example, when you get stuck and you're not sure where to begin, somewhere here I have created my own lines, because sometimes you just spend a bit of time drawing in lines, just drawing a little bit of structure of your own in your own handwriting. So now that's not like here's a better page where it's easier to see in the red. Okay, so this is your classic journal that most of us are accustomed to seeing. Very pretty cover. Oh yeah, lighting is not terrific. I apologize. I do have a skylight, and so it's a bit bright. And sometimes these sort of feel like, okay, we're supposed to know what we want to do. We're supposed to show up and have some great story to write. It's not always the case. So this may appeal to you, and so, obviously, I mean, it's nice to have both versions. Sometimes it's beautiful inspiration to have another cover, but anyway, I prefer generally to make my own and collage. So let's get into that. And let's start with, if you've got a blank page in front of you, hopefully, let's just open a page or grab some extra paper. I'll give you a second if you need to go run and get some. And a pen. It doesn't have to be great pens. You can get to that later after this call. And supply-wise, I mean, it can be anything. It can be pencils, it can be pens, it can be, a crappy set of kids' watercolor. If you are getting really serious about this stuff and you want to do some matte medium, that's a great glue for thinning it out with water and using that as a paste to collage. So when you do collage, if you do collage, let's see if we can get a better. If you do collage, then it's easier to stay, and you can also do a gloss over top so that it doesn't, so they don't fall off later. But glue sticks are also my friend. I mean, always have just your basic old glue stick. Also, the friendly office supply store, Staples, no name, basic. I think it actually says basic. Yes, it does. Basics. So, and of course Mod Podge, which is, a classic. So, okay. So right now, let's just do a warm up. So just getting into our bodies, just thinking, okay, just doing a breath, just staying loose, just shake it out. And just think, okay, this is not, I want you to just write on whatever page you have a couple of words. I'm going to give them to you so you don't have to think about them. You don't have to go blank. So I just want you to write down kangaroo, nincompoop, tenacious, cha-cha, kiss, wicked, idiocy, languid, and quiet. That's idiocy, languid, and quiet. It doesn't matter if you don't, you can make them up. You mean pick your own if that was too fast. And also titillating and meandering. Why? Because that's what you can start off with. You can just do lists of words. Sometimes you can do lists of words that you want to look up. You can do lists of words and make your own definition. You can just, draw masks, how you're feeling. You can, oops, this is not really showing up very great on so you can show masks. You can show lists of words. I am going to have to get some different lighting for camera, and that is clear. Anyway, so, but it's just an example of how to get started with just when you're feeling stuck. It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm going to have to deal with my deepest, darkest pain right now. It's just about making space for yourself. And when your deepest, darkest pain is needing an outlet, there's different ways we can do that. So here we go with a page that is pretty ugly. So, this isn't about making pretty art, okay? So it started off uglier. So but if you take away these black images, it's basically just a big mess. It's me, like a 5-year-old, just angry 5-year-old, picking up different colors and making marks. And then there are big words just written with my wrong hand, and I encourage you to make a note to yourself to remember to practice doing things with your wrong hand or your non-dominant. And, I've written in flow, staccato, chaos in big letters. And still at the bottom. And then, that was one moment, one mood, one day. And so to come back to it, the next day, I just started with awe, one word. And then I did little images and pictures around it, some shading, things like that. I was never happy with this page. It's not like, okay, this is great, I love this, but it doesn't matter, it's a start. And then you come back and you rework it when you're in a different mood. Sometimes you salvage it, sometimes you don't, sometimes you add to it, sometimes it twigs your memory. That's what it's about. So with this one, the ugly page, so for example, I came back to that and I thought, I don't like this. Now it's this big page in my book, so what do I do with it? And that's when I came back into control. And I started with these repetitive black shapes. And I just gave it a little bit more of a sense of cohesion. Is it great? No, it doesn't matter. It's for me. But it's also, by the way, relaxing when you're doing this. So that's where it comes into lowering your blood pressure, allowing your mind to calm, allowing your speeding thoughts to just find a place of stillness. So this is why we do this. It's good for our health. It's good for our immunity. It's good to express ourselves, to release tension, to outlet all that we carry. We are so bombarded by thousands of images and demands and expectations. We just need a place for us to just see our inner world. Okay, so moving right along. The other thing So here's another thing I want you to try and do, and we're going to get into that a little bit longer. Hopefully you've got a blank page, but we're going to just play with filling okay, we're going to go from here. This one's so filling the page. I've got a better example than this, but with one word that we're going to pick, and you get to pick. So for this one, it's love. So, oops, you cannot see that. So there you go. Let's just get right in there. So you start with a simple shape of a heart. Everyone can handle that. Doesn't matter if you're not an artist. Then you just repeat the word. If you're literate, you can write. And even if you're not literate, really, you can just start with repeating heart shapes. So that's it. And then you just sort of create a design and go from there. And it's just allowing yourself an outlet to play. So you can practice going from printing to writing with your hand, to different kinds of writing, and then we'll get into also playing with just block writing. So, for example, sometimes when we're feeling stuck with journaling, it's finding a quote that's important to us, or something that moves us, something that grounds us, something that inspires us, all the things quotes do. And the sheet that I just had, oh my goodness, honestly, well, here's one as well. So we're going to start with this one. This is, so there's an image here. And what the image is, the quote is basically an Emerson quote. So you can just see that I took the writing and I wrote out the writing. Now, maybe you don't feel like you can draw. Maybe you're not good with color, whatever. All the stories that you tell yourself, it doesn't matter. The thing is, you can write out a quote, and you can do it in simple writing, just plain writing, and just have a quote page for inspirations for yourself. And that's something you go to reconnect when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like, oh, I could use a bit of a boost. So, and the other thing is you pick one of the quotes that talks to you, and then you just do block letters, and we'll do that a little bit later. And you can use this also as a base for collaging around it, or color, or repetitive design. So what does that look like? Well, in this example, repetitive design can sometimes just be doing triangles or circles to create a border. So again, it's about, repetition is very calming to the mind and the nervous system. Do you see how I did the triangles? So I hope that the camera picks this up. So it's just about making a border so that you can write in, there's some journaling on the side. Doesn't really matter what I'm writing. This one was the, I drew a little image and that's just one of the pages. So you just make the page for yourself, and they can all look different. Here's just writing. So this is, again, writing in a way that doesn't have to be narrative or story, but you just write the words as they show up for you, and little images sometimes. This is in particular what I do when I'm traveling, or I have a trip and I just catch little snippets. So, a red hibiscus, and so you might write that down, or, it rained today, I'm super bummed. And these are a series of journal pages I've done lately. So this one is just painting the background to also just start. Darkness was the first word I wrote. Darkness in big, huge letters, because this is about the COVID stuff. And now I'm getting more playful. Here's a picture of the globe. And, it's just coming into do your work in the world. And now I'm making it a night sky with twinkly stars. So it may become anything. It may become nothing. So for me, sketching is also part of my outlet, so it just becomes a sketchbook, as I say. Sometimes it can become all of those things, but here's a combination. So I was doing writing in the background, which was written in pencil, you can't see the pencil drawing from there, but there's also an eyeball in there. And then I turned it, so sometimes when you can do the writing, you can also paint over it. And if you're worried about other people finding your writing, write it out and then burn it, or paint over it. It's your secret world then. Use invisible ink. There's actually invisible ink that you can use with a special pen, so only you can see it. So that's so here we have another page where I've started just doing, and the first thing I did was 100 words for grief. And then, does it make sense? Do the images make sense? Not necessarily, but it doesn't have to. It's just images, shapes, really, and repetition. Again, sometimes repetition is the most beautiful thing to do for our minds and our nervous systems. So, for example, if you're feeling pain, okay, so then you would just choose pain. Write down pain, and then do it in all kinds of big drawing pain, and then little bits of like smaller words, and then maybe you would find a collage image. So I'm just going to take a sip here. Any questions? Can I do a check-in? Okay, not yet. All right. Oh, here we go. So this is another loose page I just had handy. I didn't have my journals handy. I don't know where I was, but so, you just grab a piece of paper and you just start drawing. Okay, so safety pins. Well, all right, but it started with a quote on the back, which is just an inspiration to me, which is, "It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world," by Mary Oliver. She's an incredible poet. If you don't know her, you might want to look her up. She's also a writer, an American writer who died about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. A real gift in the world. And so just having these quotes, especially during these times, these anxious times in general, I'll just read it again because it's worth getting for yourself. "It's a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world." Mary Oliver. And point of note, she wrote that, of course, long before COVID, but it always seems to be relevant. So, okay. Also, then I just use these sheets as points of, okay, so books that I want to get for myself, and then other quotes. Quotes, I think, are one of the most beautiful ways to get us unstuck. One of the most beautiful ways to use journaling is just to when we find quotes, and sometimes, it might be a sign when you're traveling. Like, it could be graffiti on a wall. It could be, something that sort of stops you walking out of a washroom in somewhere, a poster, just jotting it down. And that's why that teeny tiny little travel journal is such a great one to have with you, because that's exactly what they're good for. Pardon me, for just holding up. Actually, this one's great because it's got a little pocket, so you can hold little receipts and things like that in there too. But journaling, so this is it. So I started with this one, and it's just doing a collage piece, so just cutting out a little face just to get me going. So I usually do so when I buy a blank book and I start a blank book, what I'll do is I'll just give the backgrounds a little bit of something, a little zhuzh, a little star shape, a little color, something just to feel like it's not so blank. So this is just as simple as it can be. A little cutout face, and then I put a little bit of pastel coloring on that. You can see how there's some blue in the background there. There's some purple, a purple watercolor page. A little dragon from I was out for Chinese food. That was the placemat. Inspiration is everywhere. So that's a power page. What am I going to do with that? Well, there's a power page. So you're going to put some inspiration around feeling powerful. Use the paper mat from the Chinese place also as a border. See on the next page, where again it's just about making it what it is. Oh, the Rorschach block. Little drop of ink, rubbing it together on the page. And then, yeah, it's a Rorschach block, but it's kind of like angel wings, devil wings, kidneys. I don't know, it's a million different things. So that's the thing about it. So you can either write about it, or you could start sketching in what you think it is, or you could continue with further collage. Simple. And numbers, that's the other best part of this. It's not just words, but okay, so using numbers. 3, 3, 3, 3. So if you see sometimes the clock, you'll say, the clock says 4:44, stick it in your journal. If you're, grab your journal, stick it down, start, oh, and here we do. We have 4 on the next page. So this is not, again, it's just energize, and then 4 ways you can energize yourself. 1 tangible action a day. So it just sort of stimulates you to sort of begin something. Okay, so anyway, we're running out of time. I'm blabbing on. So the other way to start a journal and to get unstuck is to paint the background. So yes, you could say this is more of a sketchbook, but so this one just became vibrations. I did it a dark purple, then I put the word vibrations in, then I added washi tape on the borders. Again, this is not actually drawing, it's just doodling with different colors, sort of made it just shapes. And on the other side, I had done it red, so then this just became a collage page. And that cat I ended up drawing in, but you don't have to. All these other things are collage that I have pasted in, and then that's just what I use. Now you can also draw over your draw into your drawings, much like this one, where you can draw, you can start writing into your drawings and just make the writing fit. So sky's the limit, really. Okay, again, this is a collage sheet. Yeah, this camera, I do apologize, the camera is not as great. But so this is, you've probably seen this advertising in magazines. I cut her out, I just really liked it. And I put Chasers of the Light beneath it because it looks so good on yellow. And so, oh, we got a question. So no, we do not have a question, but thank you for showing up. So, so this is it. So this is kind of it. Now with the dark and grumblies that we need to process around journaling, or how we think about journaling, you can write in your journal and actually do it by printing. Printing is one of the ways in which we can get in a different headspace. And also doing it without lines can really take the rule-based stuff out of our head, right? Doing it on a blank page. So, this some of this is dark stuff, but it's, it's also just sort of letting yourself almost like free flow scat with, like jazz. So, the next page is just regular writing. Then the next page is a bunch of doodling, not so terrific, but it's not about making stuff, it's about expressing yourself and just having fun, just showing up, just allowing yourself to relax, just allowing yourself to have some time to you and see what shows up. Okay, I was listening to music, boots and hot sauce. Okay, well, I was obviously listening to the Tragically Hip. Boots and hot sauce was the beginning there, and then sonic barrier, I was probably listening to a podcast or the news or something. So you just start grabbing things from your environment. What are you looking at? Okay, well, a teacup, I can draw a teacup, or I can write teacup, or my teacup is overflowing, or my mug is overflowing, or I need coffee, or wherever that takes you. It's just making it a start point. So, okay, I want everybody on to sort of look at their page, because we don't have a ton of time left. And just draw a shape. So maybe it's a heart, maybe it's a whale, maybe it's a fish, maybe it's a tree, something. And then just fill in a word, I want you to think about every word that shape inspires you to think about. So if it was love, if you drew a heart, then you would think about, okay, love, warmth, hugs, maybe disappointment, who knows, maybe you're processing a breakup, I mean, it can be, you can, draw a line through the heart if it's a broken heart. It's not about having to make it positive or make it joyful or fun, but it's about, again, using it as a tool. So just brainstorm within the shape, writing out, and you can do it tiny or you can do it large, and you can redo it as well if you started too small and you need to adjust. And just in that shape, put all the words that you're feeling about it. It doesn't have to be a story or like a narrative or a linear way that we think about writing. I hope that makes sense. And okay, so for example, here is another example of, this is how I combine words and images. So there's an image, this was not a good day, obviously. There's a figure crumpled in pain, and the title of it is My Lead Boots. And basically, it's raining pain is also on there. So you can see that I have used words to go vertical instead of, and shrouded, blame, undeserving, shame, trapped, repression, humiliation, regret, mourning. These are the words that are raining down. It's a sad image. It's expressing what I was dealing with, where I was at. And that's how you can also integrate images and words and just change things a little bit. You don't have to think in these linear ways about the lined journal and how do we write it out. And a quick other tip, this is a book this is an old crappy book, or not crappy book, no book is crappy for honoring the author and the effort and all that goes into a creative project of any kind. But what I mean is this was an old book I got at a garage sale, cheap, so an old child's book, okay? And then we basically, I taped up the binding, added a ribbon, and did a collage through the whole thing. So as you'll see, I don't know if you can see, the lighting is not terrific, but you see how then I just collaged everything and kept collaging. And this was a time, life in progress. So that's it. This is about life in progress. This is about honoring your life. It's documenting your life. It's a different kind of photo album. It's, and there's lots of secret meaning in this that I know, and, is very meaningful to me. It doesn't mean a whole lot to other people, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. This is for me. But as an example for you about just this, these are all magazine pictures. So again, you don't have to draw at all. You can just pick out magazine images and shut them down. Also, if you're using faces and people, I encourage you to just cut them out and then make them smaller. Like take the hair off, because if you never know how, and you don't have to know how you're gonna use it. Like this is just, you can cut out like little parts of the collage. So there's a mouth. You don't, just cut the mouth. Cut whatever attracts you and cut it out. You don't have to think about how am I gonna use this. You'll figure that out later. Keep a thing of collage cutouts with a paper clip, and maybe get yourself a folder to just keep your collage pieces in, and then you've got it there ready to go. When you want to collage and you're feeling inspired or stuck, then you've already got pieces picked for you already, so it just helps you not feel so stuck when you start again. Hope that makes sense. All right, so is there another any questions about stuff we've covered? I just realized we're sort of running out of time, and I know we haven't done as much together as I'd hoped, but what I would like you to do before we finish is write out and make enough space so that maybe you want to write out one of these things on each page. If you have a journal in front of you, do that. And if you don't, just write the list out, and then you can, play with it later. But let's just leave with some affirmations so that we feel good about this. What else do I want to cover here before we get to that? Also wanted to ask you, whether you keep a dream journal. Sometimes dream journals are terrific ways to keep track of our process as well. So many things we could do, and I wish we could do this in person right now, but of course social isolating is a little bit tricky. Pastels are also a nice way to do background. So this is a pan pastel. It doesn't have to be available in this. You can use any stick pastel. Again, it doesn't have to be high quality, but the advantage with this is that you just you can do sort of background color. And then those are collage pieces. Again, so then you have, when you do, I encourage you to do background color on some of your journal pages so that you just don't have to start from scratch. When you show up, it's not such a blank page, there's room for writing, but you've put some inspiration there for yourself to start. Here's an example too of making a border, just doing some doodling around the border. And cutting out, so that was a magazine image of some sort, the red, and I cut out the person, so now there's just a shadow self. And shadow self, what a great topic for a journal page. So now I can start writing, and I can write my own process in there, as tiny as I want, if that makes sense. Or as large as I want. So again, I always usually have about 3 to 4 journals going at any time. One might be more visual, one might be more written. I do in fact have the classic writing journal where it's just all writing, but again, this is just good old handwriting. But sometimes if I'm stuck with that, then I'll start with a question. Start asking yourself a question as opposed to what are you going to write, what are you going to write. You start with a question, it automatically starts a dialogue with yourself. It's like writing yourself a letter. So okay. And I want you to think about what lights you up. And what would it take to dissolve a habit of complaining? And I also want you to write down as a heading, what do I need to stop doing? What's not working? And just journal about that. Just think about it. And maybe you don't know, so maybe you just put a big question mark in there. That's the thing. It's using visual images and shapes to actually stimulate your own unconscious. Like if you start up a journal page and you open it up and you think, well, where did I leave off? Lessons in life. Okay, well, I have a blank page. When did I leave that off? 2013. Okay, so you know what? It's okay. We're not going to finish everything, but I can still pick this up and start writing today when I get off of this and think, yeah, okay, where do I want to go with that? So that's why prompting is helpful. Leaving a big question mark on the page. Sometimes we do fill the journal page and we go crazy and we start with a collage, then we move it to a drawing, then we, I don't know if you can see that properly, but so be in the moment no matter how hard it may be. So there you go. That's a call to presence. Breathe. And, obviously you can see that I have a lot of fun myself with color and shape and images, but it doesn't have to be that for you. And if you're not a visual person, you can do that with words. And again, going back to the earlier thing, get a page of your favorite quotes. Get a page of just symbols that sort of spark you. That's all that's needed. By golly, where did that, you know what? I knew this was going to be a little bit challenging because I brought so many examples of things, and I know the camera is a little bit challenging, so I apologize about that. The lighting is not terrific, and it's hard to find a spot in here that worked exactly right. Any questions? Because, Zoom is going to cut us off in 5 minutes. Just so you know, we got 5 minutes left. And I'm going to give you those affirmations so that you have something to start with after this. Okay, yes, this is what I wanted to show you. So here's another thing. Just make a list of words that you want to deal with, not deal with. You don't even have to know. You just let your stream of consciousness go. You might want to just start with just doodling bugs or shapes. You know, it doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to be an artist. Just everybody doodles. There's no question everybody doodles. If you've been to a staff meeting, I know you've doodled. You know, so this is about just accessing your doodling, the way you make marks, and just letting yourself do that in a journal, you know, and see where it takes you. And sometimes it's about journals for memory. So I found this in my journal, a piece of crappy ripped up paper that it sounds pretty evocative initially, but then I'll tell you what this memory was. I'll read it to you. I felt your breath against my skin. I shuddered, straightened my clothes. I felt your hot breath again, sweet like grass, the cool dew of midnight on my eyelashes, batting hello at your sentient brown eyes. So, yeah, I'm not sharing like, you know, my first kiss or anything. You know what that was? That was me going for a walk along a dike at midnight in the summer, smelling the dew, that beautiful summer night smell. Oh, thank goodness. I hope we can all get out there again in the summer and have like nature time. And that was going to meet my favorite donkey, my donkey friend, Ed, who I would feed carrots. And when you're really close to an animal, like a cow or a donkey, they breathe, they're so large and they breathe on you and there's a big exhale and it smells like sweet grass. And so I wrote that when I got home, obviously, and it fell out of my journals today when I was putting this together. It's a beautiful memory that I will always have now. If I didn't take the time to write that out, I mean, Ed is always in my heart. That donkey was my best pal, but now he's with me. So, okay, write these words, any words, doesn't matter. It can be all ugly words, negative words, fearful words. It can be all beautiful words. It can be a combination. I think there's a combination in here. So, yeah, I've got joy, love, abundance, bubbles. I gave you a list of words earlier that were completely, you know, nonsensical, non-linear words for you to just start. And then write them out and just fill a page, filling the journal page with words. That's it. And just playing with the, okay, let's just make it fancy writing and let's make it small writing. Let's actually write. Let's print. Printing, there's so many directions to go. Okay, I thought we would have some time to do block printing, but we're not going to. But so borders, to review, borders are a good way to contain your page and just to start letting yourself doodle, quitting the self-judgment, just getting out of these fixed identities. I'm not creative. I can't do this. Collage is your friend. Cutting out shapes. There is such a beautiful thing about cutting and pasting that just takes us back to being a kid. It just frees us from all this adult censorship that we get into. You can use, there's all kinds of decorative tapes and stuff now that you can use to help. This is also an example of just pages that are a mix of writing and little doodles and little shading. So now that you've seen my personal world, let's see, what else can I, and painting a background just to get yourself started. Actually getting a fully, this is a nice sort of very tidy journal. It's black with black pages. If you like things neat and tidy, get gel pens and just make it neat and tidy for yourself. Again, I did pages of words, just words. So we can use journaling for therapeutic purposes and to really get into prompts around how to get unstuck. But again, we can also this is therapeutic, but it doesn't always have to be the heavy soul searching, asking the heavy questions. We can, and I could give you that, but This is also about fun. Repetition. Remember the importance of repetition. Everyone can draw a circle. Everyone can draw a circle. And then sometimes you get a cool shape and you're just letting yourself, that's letting yourself doodle. That's really good for your imagination, your unconscious, your intuition. It's just releasing things. And when you're super stuck and you're just feeling miserable, so you just do lines. Like sometimes it's not inspired. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's seemingly pointless. They're going to cut me off. And I just want to say thank you so much for showing up. Take this, do some deep breaths, do some dance breaks, get your blood going, and then stay with this and have some fun today. You know, I hope that this has been some help or value to you, and that you've, you know, enjoyed some. Oh, the affirmations. Okay, we're gonna leave with some affirmations until they cut me off. So write out, you are. I think they cut me off. Okay, so you are worthy. You are safe. You make a difference. You're unique, and that is beautiful. Thank you so much for showing up. I hope that you've gotten something out of this. I was doing it on 2 cameras, so this may feel a little bit funny. I so appreciate you being here, and blessings. Have fun, be playful, no censorship. Just be you. Okay, bye.